Presenting the Brick House Podcast. The Brick House. Here comes the boom.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Brick House Podcast. My name is Matthew Brick, and I'm very appreciative that you clicked on this episode, and I'm excited for this one. So today's going to be a good day. It's a Saturday of the recording, and well, let's just get into it. So I'm here with Will Bianco, amazing guy. I've gotten to be a teammate of his, friend, and now really just growing in like a brother in Christ relationship with him. So I'm really excited to just hear what he has to say, and let's give it up for Will Bianco.
Thank you. Yeah, so I'm a junior at Valor, just like Matthew. I was on 132 for wrestling. I've wrestled pretty much since I was in first grade. I serve in kids ministry right now. I'm in a few student-led Bible studies, and so I'm just kind of really digging deep in my faith at this point because, in an absence of wrestling, really, like it's been tough, but I've definitely found myself through it. But
Yeah, that's a great intro. So we're just gonna dive deep into this. But yeah, can you kind of take us back? What has your faith looked like? How has it been? Maybe even kind of tell us like the very beginning of it. Like, how did you grow up? What's it looking like in your family? Like, what's it like to you? How is it personal to Will?
yeah, well, my testimony kind of starts with my adoption process, really. And so, for those of you that don't know me, I am adopted. Like, you look at my family, and you're like, one of those things doesn't really look like
Yeah.
you. But it's a big thing to me. And so, the only really picture, we have one picture of my birth mom. She's really young, and there's no documentation of a dad. There's no, like, nothing really. And so, it's pretty easy to see an unplanned pregnancy. And so this is some recent research that I've actually done within the past few months is the abortion rate for unplanned pregnancies in Taiwan 2008, so where I was born when I was born, is about 78%, which is, I mean, that's a lot. I'm gonna get that number tattooed on me. So, I mean, that means so much to me because the world says and the numbers say that I should have been killed in the womb, which is, I mean, that hurts and that number hits hard. But God said otherwise. God said no. Like, not only did he deliver me from death in the womb, but he delivered me from so many other things. Like, he gave me birth and defied the odds by giving me life and then placed me, 7,000 miles across the world into, Castle Pines, Colorado,
Yeah.
which is pretty great. And so growing up though, like I didn't really have this perspective on my whole adoption, really my birth until I gained a faith. Like I kind of took everything for granted, but I didn't gain a faith until spring of sophomore year, so like spring break. And what happened, like I would go to church and everything,
Mm.
and I mean I would go and do like mission trips, but it would be like absent of an actual faith, so it'd be just deeds instead. But I kind of got woken up. I think it was, how we have 2 weeks of spring break.
Mm-hmm.
So those 2 weeks were seriously the most quiet and the most like lonely like 2 weeks I've ever experienced. I think my parents were gone on a trip for a bit. All of my friends from middle school were like out of the state on trips. And then the people that I know at Valor, I wasn't close enough with to
Mm.
really like be hanging out with people. So I was just like, it was just an empty household. Like I would come home after like, going to work out, going on a run, and it would just be empty. And it was within that silence that like I really kind of picked up the Bible for the first time, not because someone told me to or because someone like, it was at church, but it was kind of the first time that I wanted to listen to God and that I really like sat myself down. And what he told me in that moment was kind of like, sometimes he's going to take out everyone in your life and, make your phone dry, make it quiet, just so that he's the only person that
Mm.
like you have to turn to or you can turn to. And so I always kind of go back to that whenever I do start to like lose people or like lose my way. But after that, like everything just kind of blossoms. Like I
Yeah.
found a passion in kids ministry, which I mean, I love kids. Like kids ministry is great, and it pours into me just as much as I can pour it to them. In the way like I've learned to love more like Christ through it as well, and like see through the eyes of Him, like as seeing people as children of God more, which has definitely been a struggle for me.
Mm.
But Yeah, I mean, I've just been growing since then, and I've been leading. I've been in the pursuit of knowledge and of wisdom, like Solomon talks about. Like, I don't know, I'm just on fire for God right now. And so, yeah, I got the missions trip coming up. I'm gonna hopefully chaplain for a discovery trip next year out to Buena Vista. So I'm really excited for that stuff.
Yeah, it's awesome to hear that, and it's encouraging. Um, to your point, like it seemed like God spoke to you in a moment of, I don't know, loneliness, or like it was just like everything was kind of like you said, taken away. I was reading this morning, First Kings 18 and 19, and it's where Elijah, uh, specifically in 19, Elijah, he's like depressed. He's at the point where he's like, God, just take my life away. God provides literally food for him to like sustain him. And he comes to Elijah in a soft whisper, a gentle whisper. Um, and I just think that's like really, um, maybe could be relatable for you, but I know like sometimes we see God in the big things, but sometimes we see God in the small things. And I think that's cool.
Yeah, I actually really like that you used that verse. I was reading that, I think like a week ago, honestly, just to help out a friend who's kind of like struggling with loneliness, I
Hmm.
guess. And I remember like within that angel comes to him while he's sleeping. And he says like, you're too weak right now. He says like eat and rest for the journey ahead of you. And so like after he does eat, he does rest. He goes and travels 40 days and 40 nights to like the next thing that's called of him. And that's kind of the transition of him and
Mm,
the end of like Elijah's works. But I always take it as like within the solitude, within the loneliness, God is kind of like equipping you. He's saying like you know you're not who I need you to be right now. So gain your like rest up, like strengthen yourself so that you can walk to where you're being called to. But
yeah.
so I really liked that.
What would you say are some of the biggest lessons in your faith that you've learned? Um, like really stepping into your faith, like you shared. Um, like what are some of those lessons?
Honestly, deeds and kind of where I spend my time is a huge thing. And I've talked about this a lot. Like, yes, any of my friends, I tell them
Yeah.
this a lot. But I think your time doesn't lie. And like, I can go out and I can put on my Instagram bio, like, I value Christ over everything, right? But my time doesn't lie. So I always look at where I'm spending my time, really. Because if I go out and I party for like 5 hours on a Friday night, and I turn around on a Sunday and go serve for 5 hours, right? I can tell people that I value Christ over everything and that Jesus is my number one priority. But my time tells them that I value the two things in the same regard, right? So within that, I kind of looked at like, where am I spending my time? Who am I spending my time with? And like, what am I doing really? Because in that aspect, like, athletes, right? It's hard to not spend like the most amount of time within your sport, right?
Yeah.
So it's how am I spending that time instead of like, like am I really gathering a group to um, perform for Christ and glorify Him? And that's what I'm really excited for next year through wrestling is like, really trying to get a team towards Christ and like, have just such a brothership next year.
Mm.
But like, I think
Yeah, I think that'd be cool.
that's been huge for me. It's just like, staying out of the lukewarm, I guess.
Yeah. And I think that's encouraging as well. Um, I want to hear a little bit about like, so I had never like I've never thought of it like that. I really like that, like your time ends up showing what really matters to you, right? And it makes sense, like you spend the time what you, I mean,
What you
yeah,
do.
what you do is what you do. Um, but I think, yeah, would you kind of like, so I obviously I have some insider knowledge, but kind of like walk us through a little bit of like how like, well, it seems like you like some of the goals that you have is like you said, next year you're gonna like one of your goals is really to like integrate your faith into your sport, wrestling. Um, but kind of like walk us through what's the journey been like that, like with that, like faith or wrestling, like how has it been, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I've seen, and part of me doesn't even know if I'm gonna wrestle next year,
Oh,
just
really?
because, I mean, talking to Billy, like like seeing Billy as like quit where from being so successful to chasing God like in that manner. That was kind of inspiring. Like, it really spoke to me because I know that I'm kind of stubborn whenever it comes to like God's plan or like moving me away from things. And I mean, really, after tearing my UCL in January, I kind of took a step back and like looking at it now, 6 months later, 5 months later, I can see like the doors are opened for my faith and the things that it's allowed
Mm,
me to pursue. And so I don't know if he's like calling me to something better, like calling me to something else, um, or if he's calling me to like,
yeah.
lead a team or to like really go and glorify him through wrestling because I think I can do both of those things. But what I do want to do is like just have such a like a brotherhood. And I know last year, well, this is every year, like it always gets like a little bit like clicky, and then also like some people get like picked on a lot. But I mean, I've never really had this problem because I've always just been kind of like chilling out in the back and then doing my thing because it's different with an individual sport. Like everyone, like at the end of the day, you do you and you'll be fine. But yeah, I'm just trying to build. I want to help not only mentor like the underclassmen, but
hmm
also just build something that's gonna last within our program. But
I find that awesome because like I do believe that like so much of like what faith is. I was kind of like reflecting on this the other day. Like obviously like we aren't always given like perfect lives or like a our faith isn't like necessarily like for blessings, but like I've been thinking about it, like so much of the pursuit of what people are after, and then like I can actually say because of my faith, I actually have had moments of joy, like true joy. I've actually had moments of true um like compassion and love and like some of these things, and like yes, I can go weeks or days feeling really crappy and really like unworthy or not loved or lonely, but man, like I've had but also I've had days where it's like truly, and maybe you can relate, but it's definitely like those days like outweigh the bad days. Um, but so like then like I want to hear more of like, so we've heard this passion of like for wrestling, but it also seems like that like you said like through your time of like realizing through injury and other things, just like through time looking back now that you've seen that like God has opened up doors, closed some, like what are other things that God has put in to your heart, or maybe even some things that you've realized that you really have like a love for? You said kids ministry. Um, but yeah, like what are some of these other things? Like I love this question, but what is something about Will that maybe not everyone knows? Like something that you really love or you just have a passion for, that maybe not everyone knows.
honestly, just not, I guess the apologetics is a good way to put it, but just being able to talk through faith, um, and defending my own faith. And I think this kind of ties into certain family dynamics. So like my oldest sister, and we've talked about this, is so my oldest sister is, I think she's a pagan right now, but I might have switched up, so she
Yeah.
might be a little bit of an atheist. But kind of walking through her mentality with everything and her spiritual journey, and almost resentment towards Christianity has sparked a level of, it always sparks a level of excitement, being like okay, like this is something I'm so passionate about. Now I get to go and defend it. Now I get to
hmm
go and express what it's done in my life, what it means to me, and see, really like validate myself and validate my own religion because I've done research into everything. Like I've done the stuff needed to prove my faith. And
Mm.
this is something, so there's this term called geographical determinism that says like, if I'm an atheist and I look at you and I go, like, Matthew, the only reason why you're a Christian is because you live in like Highlands Ranch, Colorado, or whatever,
Yeah.
right? Like that's brutal. And most people don't know how to respond to that because it's hard. But what I did was I mean, I'm kind of a student in this way. Like I'm an awful student. Like I don't really
Yeah.
try whenever it comes to like a lot of school stuff, but whenever it's something I'm passionate about, I definitely
Oh
do a
yeah.
lot of other stuff. So I did my research into, the major religions, the Islam, Christianity. I did a little bit of like Hinduism, even though I was like, okay, I'm done. It was kind of a quicker route to being like, this isn't really great.
Yeah. Okay.
But um, so kind of pursuing that and having and understanding the um, logistical objections to certain religions and seeing the logistical path towards Christianity was like pillar stone or pillar in my faith. Like, and it'll always be there. It'll always be the backbone that kind of holds me up. Like whenever I am doubting, whenever I am like feeling like, okay, is there even a God? Or like with all this bad stuff happening, like, can there really be an all-loving God right now? Like, I know that the doubting part of my mind, and I mean, Paul describes it as my flesh, but the doubting part of my mind will always be in constant conflict with the part of me that's like so strong in my faith, so rooted, so like, no, no, like, no, 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 this is real, this is it, like, this is what you're doing. And
Mm-hmm.
so like taking that and applying it to other people and like hearing their stories too, because I know like for the majority of atheists, their relationship with Christ and their experience with Christianity is like very negative.
Yeah.
Um, and I mean, that's sad to think about, but it's also like, okay, how can I be, better? Or like, how can I be and reintroduce you to a relationship with Christ and not a religion, you know?
Mm. This is awesome, and it's interesting because it's like, I get some people on here on the podcast and we talk about their faith and like we're doing. But like what you got. So this next question, I'm really interested on how you would answer this. Because like I feel like something that I know I want to grow more into is like you even said, like, how do we actually, okay, we have this faith. We're like, you know, I believe like you obviously you can, if you're talked into something, you can be talked out of something. But it is there, like you, even if you have like the most genuine faith, like, you know, Christ, like sinless, perfect, and yet like the world still crucified him. And so like we are probably guaranteed some form of persecution, if that's verbal persecution, any of these things. But like there is an essential need to necessary like to like actually understand why you believe what you believe. I believe that because there's like a statistic that's like 1 in 4 Christians like once they leave high school like walk away from the faith, which to me is crazy. Like logistically, in our small group, that would mean like 5 or 6 people like that. They just walk statistically. And so I guess my question is maybe two parts of it, but like, what do you think is essential for like actually like, yeah, like how in your life have you actually like come to terms and like this is what I believe in, and how do you do that? Like how do you actually defend your faith? Maybe some of the things you've learned, and then maybe a part to that afterwards is like what would you say to people who genuinely might not have a faith, or like almost like if you could like share like I don't know, like yeah, if there was an atheist watching or something like that, like you know what I mean, like maybe almost like if you could tell them about God. Okay.
Kind of the development part of my faith and like how uh like gaining such a strong core to it really just comes from the honest pursuit of truth and the honest pursuit of knowledge. Whenever you do look at it and you do look at, historical texts like that we have from, the Roman Empire, you have Roman authors at least acknowledging Jesus Christ as a historical figure. Like they're writing about him and they're like, Jesus and his little disciple is like going off and spreading heresies about the religion. Like, it might have been hatred, but it does prove to you that Christ did walk this earth. And honestly, like whenever I do talk to my sister about this, I always want to acknowledge that, Jesus Christ, whether he is who he said he was or he's the biggest deceiver in history,
Yeah.
like Jesus Christ is the most influential person in human history. I mean, you look at the impact he's had on like the major religions, like every major religion, and the conflict. I mean, the wars in the Middle East. You talk about the Crusades. You talk about, I mean, just major
Like
conflicts in the way. I
everything.
mean, the way that we live life too, like in general. And
Mhm.
that's crazy to me that one person so many years ago, even if he was wrong, still has this much of an impact on Earth. But just kind of like the honest pursuit, yeah, the honest pursuit of knowledge. Like that's what really got me, and that's what really was like, okay, like if this is after like I can't find any other thing that would say this is wrong or that says
Mhm.
this is something else. So I mean, if I do believe that this is true, then why wouldn't I start acting like it? Why wouldn't I start pursuing it and truly pursuing and loving him? But what was the second part? It was
Second part was just kind yeah, like I don't know how to necessarily ask this, but yeah, like how would you go about like if someone were to not know about God or they had never heard about Jesus, what would you say to them? Kind of thing.
I think it would be less of what I would say
Mm.
and more of what I would do.
Oh, okay.
Because I think when it comes to atheists, especially now, and or at least in our culture, it's so hard to validate your faith just out of like, oh, like if Psalms like 2:3 says this, right? Because it's very hard to use scripture against someone that doesn't validate the Bible, and it's very hard to express a faith to someone that instantly hears Christianity and kind of shuts their head off or shuts their mind off. Because I talked about this on Wednesday, and majority of atheists and non-believers do believe that they're living the right way, do believe that um, they are right in that term, and that they're living in a way that maximizes their life and maximizes like the enjoyment they get from it. And so without the need of a savior, there can be no faith, really. And so that's why
Mm.
I said whenever we do fall and whenever I do like fall back into sin, part of me enjoys it because I don't enjoy the art of like the sinfulness, but I do enjoy what it demands, which is salvation. So it like draws me back to Christ. But what I would tell an atheist, or I wouldn't tell an atheist, but what I would do is just live a life of Jesus and
Mm.
know them too. Like really being close and supporting them through everything. Like someone that might not believe in Christ eventually can look at you and see, they should be able to see the works you're doing. They should be able to see the love from you, really. The love, the knowledge, the happiness that you get too, and want to pursue that eventually. And if they don't want to pursue that, then you can't force them.
Mm.
And really, I mean, that's the number one thing that I think drives even more people away from Christianity is the forcefulness of it, of the oh, you'll come around eventually, or like oh, like okay, this is just a phase, or like you're gonna come around to Christianity eventually. But it's no, some people don't, most people don't actually, and there's a beauty to that though because it is the people that do are saved. That's why he says that whenever one sinner does repent, that there's rejoice in heaven
Mm.
because it's the minority and the willful choice that they have to make to lead them back to God, to lead them back to Jesus too. And so instead of pushing this onto them, it's more of like I'm here if you need me. And also like I'm here as an example
Mm-hmm.
too of the joy that comes from living a life with Christ. I mean, this is stuff that I've learned firsthand too. My
Yeah.
sister is like, I can't convince her logically. I can't convince her logically. I can't convince her through my faith or through my perspectives. And so the only thing I'm left to do is be patient, love her, be there for her,
Mm.
and hope that my life reflects the light of Christ so much so that she may feel convicted.
Mm.
But
That's really like even on a non like evangelic or like a like trying to like necessarily spread the gospel, like even on a non evangelized level, I think that's just like really like actually encouraging, like hearing you speak that. It's actually really encouraging for me because it's like my hope is that my like the God's love is so much that it like goes through me, flows through me, and it overflows. And like because right now I feel like you know I don't, I mean, my brothers, they're on even like a little different of a faith than me. Obviously, our faith, like everyone's faith looks a little bit different, but it's hard because it's like kind of what you had brought up earlier, but kind of like wrestling with the flesh. We talked about this Wednesday, but like I do the things that I don't want to do, and I do the things that I don't want to do, or something along those lines. Like I feel um, like I just feel encouraged by that. Like my true, like I believe that's why it's like why Christians are so passionate about wanting to give it to other people because it's like they just want others to, well, I can say personally, I just want my family, people around me to truly experience those little glimpses of like just transformation in Jesus. Like it, like I don't even know how to explain it. I'm tapping my heart because it's like there's just this feeling in my heart, like and like I think it's love, like um and yeah, I feel encouraged by that. Like I just want that love to, even though I like I'm a hypocrite. Like I'm not like we obviously we are poor representations of Jesus. Like we're not true like reflections of him, but like you said, like and like when we were praying before this podcast, but like just allowing God to be through us. And I find that really encouraging.
Yeah.
You have anything on that, or I can ask something else.
I mean, it's just living through God, and you absolutely see a difference. And I think the ability for me, like I journal every night,
Yeah.
which like sometimes I think is kind of funny, or like I'll get like flamed for, but being able to look back, and so I've journaled for like a little over a year, but being able to look back at my life at an early faith and then my life now too, and I mean obviously like I'm only 17, like it's still definitely
Yeah.
developing, but
Same here.
being able to look at the past and just see a life so absent of Christ's love and God is so dramatically different. Like I think I tell people that my life didn't start until after I got a perm. But
Yeah.
but really what I mean by that, because I got it the during Christmas break of sophomore year, but really what I mean is my life didn't start until I gained a faith.
Mm,
Because
I like that. Yeah.
like, but it's just so dramatically different. And I think like the love of Christ that, and I've experienced this a lot recently
Hmm.
of truthfully loving like Jesus, and seeing people by and calling people by their name and not by their sin, and seeing
Mm.
people as a child of God, not by like, oh, you're this or you're that, or like, oh, I saw you doing this on Friday, but really just loving them. And like I almost get excited talking about it because it's exciting
Mm.
that Christianity at a certain point and your faith at a certain point will push you to be an extrovert, will push you to be just someone that really loves talking to people about God, talking to anyone, like praying for people, really hoping the best for people. And I love loving people now, and
Yeah.
it's really so much nicer because I think the old me would definitely hold resentment towards people or be like, even that I don't know, like, oh, you wronged my friend, so I'm not gonna talk to you. Like that's awful. I would like more of maybe you wronged my friend, but you probably have a story to it too, or
Mm.
you probably have something you're going through as well. So just being able to love everyone is so it's so freeing, and it makes me so happy too as well because obviously and they write that you can't go to the altar with resentment for a brother or sister, right? And that's so true. Like I can't come to God praying for my own needs, praying for just me, whenever I still hold hatred for other people, whenever I still hold resentment. And
Mm.
John writes this in First John. I was reading this last night. He talked about like Cain and Abel, right? He said like Cain murdering Abel is the same like resentment. Like me resenting you right now would be like me murdering you in my heart, right? And you can't do that when come to the altar. Like it's tough. So like letting go of that resentment, letting go of just mm, just worldly ties to people is so freeing. But
Man, that's convicting though. I'll tell you that. That convicted me. Um, I won't get into it today, but um, he's out here convicting me. He's out here like truly it's God speaking to like for us and for you guys. Um, how would so I think it's just been really encouraging hearing you. If you were to see someone that like with some of the struggles that you've um dealt with maybe before really getting into your faith or even just like since you've been really diving deep in your faith, if you were to see someone who went through similar struggles as you, what advice or yeah advice or any like what would you want to communicate to them because you've experienced things like that?
I think I would just kind of point back to scripture, honestly, because when it comes to advice, it's so easy to be like, this is what I did, or like, this is how I got over this. But that doesn't always work for people. And especially with faith, everyone's journey is so personal, it's so unique that,
Hmm.
I mean, maybe sometimes it will work, like the things that I did might work for you too, but most of the time you have to find out on your own. You have to do deal with that stuff on your own
Hmm.
and do find um just the truth and the solution for you. And I think that's how I got over a lot of stuff. Like obviously, I'm a teenage boy, like lust is a big
Oh yeah.
for sure. But God equipped me with the things to get over it, really. So like my last relationship kind of ended, and it came from a point of like I didn't deal with my problems with lust before bringing someone else into my life.
Mm.
And that carries so much more than I thought it would, I guess. And so that helped me anytime I do start feeling lustful. I'm like, like, all right, you have to lock in. Like, this isn't just you. You're talking about, you know, a future family. You're talking about a future, like everything really. So like that really helped me currently just in struggles with lust, but also kids ministry too. Because whenever you are lustful, like about like someone's like some girl, you have to realize and you have to step back and be like, that's someone's daughter, and not only is that someone's daughter, but that's his daughter too. Like
Mm.
who am I to be so lustful over just a kid, truthfully. And so I think when it comes to stuff like that, like it might not always come from people, but God's going to put solutions in your life, or God's going to put in, things to help you deal with those problems. But
Yeah. Um, what or so in kids ministry, what age do you work with?
I'm always with elementary schoolers, which I love.
Yeah.
So we kind of split our church in half, and so there's like this big center in the middle, and then on the right of it is like 2-year-olds to kindergarten, and then on the left is like first through fifth grade. And
Mhm.
so I'm always in the elementary school part, which we kind of joke about because
Yeah.
I was talking to kind of our director Becky, and we were like, "Yeah, I'm never over there," and so he put me over there like once with the 4 and 5 year
Okay.
olds, and then that was it, and like that's been it. But honestly, I love elementary school kids because like they're so, I don't know, they're so different and they're so unique. And like I think Sundays, I love my Sundays because it just rejuvenates me. And part of that I feel like is ironic because I'll wake up at 6 in the morning and be like, this sucks. But afterwards I'm like I needed that. Because they do like they're young enough to bring such a energy to you, but like fifth graders are mature enough to like have talks with you about certain things or like,
Mm.
be cool with you or like know you. And then first like the younger ones are always I mean just like innocently just want to like play around, do whatever, right?
Do they listen to you?
Yeah,
They
I
do. That's
think
good.
I think what
Okay.
helps is I'm normally the one that kind of just like out of all of our high school leaders, I feel like so there's 4 of us and 2 of them are just graduated, which I'm really sad about. And then there's me and then a sophomore at Rock Canyon too. But we like out of all 4 of us, I feel like I goof around the most,
Okay. Okay.
especially with kids. And so whenever I do need to like control a room, whenever I do
Hmm.
need to speak up, it like grabs their attention more because they're like, oh shoot, you know what I
Oh,
mean?
they know. They
But
know.
but yeah, it is hard though. I mean, it's a skill for sure trying to like group a ton of kids. We had 53
Yeah.
kids in this 53 first and second graders during one of
Oh
our
my
Easter
goodness.
services and like this kind of small room. Oh my gosh, it was crazy, but it was fun though.
Oh, I just asked because I also help with kids at my church, and they don't listen to me. And I actually stopped going to one room, like K through third, kindergarten to third grade. If you guys are watching that, bro, I'm gone. Like, yeah, I no longer serve with them. I was getting way too tired. I just couldn't do it. Because they'd come and kick me and hit me and not listen to me, and I'm like, yo, and it's like the same kids for a year.
Yeah.
But I know, I mean, I'm sure when I was their age, like I didn't want to do anything. I wouldn't want to listen to a high school student who looked like a ginger. So yeah, nah. But
It's awkward. So I mean, I was one of those kids for sure. Like I know, looking back now, I'm like, I know exactly what type of kid I was. Like I was the one that was like too cool for it in the back or
yeah,
whatever, and this in the back. Cause and like now looking at it, I'm like, I probably look so dumb, but it's really weird because the teachers I had growing up, like
hmm.
I'm working with now,
Oh
and so
wow,
I'm like, oh,
that's actually
but
crazy.
it's cool though. It's really cool and it's great. But there's always, I mean, there always are those kids that are a little bit extra, and I mean, it's just something you gotta power through because all it takes is one bad experience, I guess, especially with like parents and everything. But
Yeah, I mean, how many people I know, and even in my own life, where it's like until you really get into your faith, or at least it seems like a lot of people are like, they kind of walk away from their faith, or they go to church one week, or they don't, or they go to church like twice a year. Um, and like, but I still see like God's like providence and like his hand over that, because like I know for me. I was at Creaster, like church and Easter at least, but and then now I try to go every week. So there was definitely that shift, but I do believe that like I see other people and I see that even at our school. And maybe that's something that I would like to ask you of. But like what do you think of like what has your experience been with like just going to a Christian school? I wonder like what's that like for you?
I think before I really had like a profound faith, like my freshman and like the first part of my sophomore year, it was detrimental to my faith. Like it was a bad thing
Mm-hmm.
just because it made it so much of like it's school. Like it's school, really. And so I was like anytime I would pick up my Bible or I would start doing this, I was like, oh, like this is kind of lame. Or like I would kind of, you know, take it and box into this little compartment of just work you have to do.
Mm-hmm.
Or whenever we would, since we have chapels on Wednesday, I would be like, like, do I really need to go to church on Sunday right
Yeah.
now? I literally, I remember telling my parents my freshman year, I was like, I go to church 5 days out of the week. Like, I'm okay. Um, but and I think so many people get caught up in that of like, okay, this is enough, but it's not. Like, really, it's not. And I think that whenever you look at it as less of attendance and more of like participation and like what you're actually getting from it and what you're putting into it as well, like then it takes it to a whole nother level. And it's like now, like this past year has been so great. Like, and so I'm so thankful for it. And I think my sophomore year, like after I did get a faith for like the last 2 months of it was, I mean, it was great. I think my history class, my Bible class, my English class all like talked about the same. It was like the same kind of time period in the early church, and we were going over stuff. And I was like, "This is great! Like this is
Yeah.
awesome!" And so now, like getting to do all this stuff, I'm really excited for senior Bible too. And
Yeah.
just some other electives, like being able to let it sink in
Mm-hmm.
and really just, I don't know, really just like being able to love Christ in school. Like I think I take it as a whole different way now. Like being able
Yeah.
to like Mavericks Bible study every like Tuesday lunches, show up to next year.
Yeah, that'd be
But
cool. Well, you can, I mean, not like you need to do something, but well, like, bro, you're ready, bro. Or like this next year in any way, and it doesn't have to be like how I do it or Maverick does it or anyone else. And it could be as simple as just like one day out of the week, I'm gonna go talk to someone or whatever. But I really believe that you're gonna do something this next year, or like, and no pressure. Like it's not like you have to. It's just like, or like, I see. I mean, it's crazy. Like, obviously, I've known you for the past few years, but like, we haven't always been so close, just because different people, different stuff. But like, man, like, it's just cool, really seeing like it's the coolest thing when you see just God, just working in other people's lives, and like it's cool. Like we just like work, God's just working things out. Like it's the coolest thing because for me, like I hardly ever like actually reach out to people about the podcast or like you know what I mean. Like it's almost like every episode is just kind of like it all works out. It's like all given by God. Um, but yeah, sorry I kind of cut you off. But like loving in school, did you have anything else on that?
I mean, really just like I think the biggest thing that's been on my heart recently, or not recently, but like over the
Yeah.
past year, was I mean Bryce Crawford talked about this. I love
Mm-hmm.
him too. Like I mean, talk about like young guys for Christ, but
Yeah.
he talked about like whenever you do feel like church is getting monotonous or boring, it's most of the time it's because of your perspective of what can I take from this, not what can I give.
Mm.
And like like so many people are like what like I need to hear from him right now, or like I need this, I need that. And I need a good time, like when I'm worshiping, not like I'm here to learn about God. I'm here to worship
Mm.
Him, to um, foster this community for Him too. And whenever you're like, as soon as that flipped, youth
Yeah.
became so much more fun, school became so much more fun, and like really every aspect, which just sounds weird, like school being fun, but
Yeah.
I look at it now as school just being an opportunity to, I mean, not only learn about Him, but have a community and do and be able to display like a love of Christ and that work and that like I almost I don't want to say aura, but like there
Or
is there is a certain aspect of it that's like wow, like you can tell when people are really really like walking with Christ,
yeah.
which is great.
Yeah, I was reading 2 Corinthians today. I think it's like 2 Corinthians 3 or something, but it talks about like the confidence of God. Like it's almost like I just see it as like obviously like I'm gonna just be honest, like this morning before the podcast, arguing with my brothers, not good. Just being like that, like I'll be the first to say like I'm flawed. But man, like it's cool though. Like it's almost like the aura, like you're saying, like we get to walk in this confidence, not because of what we do, but what God does. And yeah, it's like it's strangely weird. Like it's because like I'm not always the most confident person. Um, and we see stories in the Bible of lack of confidence. We see people who are arrogant, but like I don't know, it's just like God's. I don't know. For me, I read that this morning and it was really encouraging, just like God's confidence on me. And last night I was talking to my mentor and he just kind of was like, I feel like sometimes in my faith and just in general with my relationship with my brothers, it's like one step forward, two steps back, one step forward, whatever. You like, it's that pattern of like progressing and then regressing. But he's like, Matthew, like, you're moving at least. You're moving and I don't know. I don't know, like that's where I'm at. Like if I'm would be honest right now in my faith, I'm just moving.
So I like that you use that word because I something was kind of I was talking to one of my friends about the difference between movement and action.
Mm-hmm.
And so I always put it, I kind of got this from like our family therapist.
Yeah.
And I said, because I always told her, I just need motion from our family. 'Cause, like, our family dynamic has been so stagnant for so long. So I'm like, I just need motion. And she goes, no, you don't need motion. You need action. Because, I can stand here, run around in a circle, right, and flip my arms, and that's motion. But in 10 seconds, I would still be right where I was 10 seconds ago, right?
Mm-hmm.
Action is like me physically walking up, going somewhere else, and moving slowly. Like, even if I'm tiptoeing, slowly crawling somewhere else, that's me getting to somewhere else. And that might not be better. It might not be worse though, but it's different than motion. Because I think whenever I looked at it from chasing action and not motion, I started to see little steps in myself. Like motion, I think for so many people is okay, like I'm gonna go to this youth group, I'm gonna go to church on Sunday, right? Like that's motion in their faith, but action is like I'm gonna do this for me. Like I is the inward reflection of it of moving. I think motion is like the physical aspect of
Mm-hmm.
it, but action is the like spiritual and the mental part of it.
Mm.
And when it comes to family, like honestly, whenever you can fully say like I'm doing as much as I can and like I'm pouring out in that part, then you can't do anything else. And like so what? And I think indifference is such a big part of my faith, just knowing like checking off the boxes, being like, can I do something about it? Yes, then I'm gonna go and do something about it. But if I can't, why would I stress about it? Why would I, you know, wear myself out with something that I can't control? Which is, it's very freeing and it's very hard to do. But I think when it comes to anxiety and like panic attacks and all that stuff, like it's hard for me to give guidance on that stuff because I'm like, I don't like, I don't, I don't care so much. Like, so what? I'm here. I'm breathing. Like, this is great. As long as I have breath in my lungs, I'm rolling. I'm rolling, and
Yeah,
like I'm gonna keep going. But
bro, I that would be the dream for me personally, as just a person who's like, I would like to say I'm probably an anxious person most of the time. Like even though like there's moments of carefreeness, like that doesn't mean I don't want to be like not attentive and like actually here in the moment, but like I want to get to a level of hopefully like what you said, like there's just some things that I know that I can't control. So why should you worry on it? It's like Matthew 6, like what does it worrying do? It doesn't add a single hour to your day or like along those like obviously like worrying is not from God. And I could say that over again. I gave a message, maybe I think you were there talking about sound mind, like
yeah, yeah.
trying to have peace, but if I'm gonna be honest, like that's something in my walk where it's like I don't feel like I've reached it. I'm just not I can't find it. Um but yeah, I mean like my hope is that like going back to that confidence. And but it's not confidence in myself, but in God.
Yeah.
And so I'm growing. I don't know. I'm learning so much from you, I feel
Well,
like.
I like that confidence, and I get that confidence part from my testimony. Like, there's, I shouldn't be here. Like I think about that every time that I do kind of lose my way, or like I do kind of get out from within myself. Like I shouldn't be here. I don't take that for granted. And part of me looks at that and says, the people that I walk past in the hall at Valor, the people that I kind of know but don't know well,
Hmm.
like though even those people are here in my life for a reason. Even the people that disregard me, that disrespect me, um, that throw like whatever on my name, like those people are there for a reason. Everyone is. You can't take the good without the bad, right? And there's a beauty within that because without the stresses of people, like have you had moments of like stillness before?
A little bit, yeah, a little
I
bit,
think
but not as much as I could.
yeah. I mean, that's a struggle everyone had. Like,
Yeah.
it'll always be there, but I like the ability to be able to sit down and like be still because I know God has a purpose for me. Like that's my number one thing is God has like there's obviously a purpose here because I wouldn't be here if there wasn't. I would be dead. Like I talk about this in Bible studies all the time. And so you remember the kid, the seventh grader last year that was riding his scooter and got ran over?
Oh, I heard about that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, the flowers and stuff are still up, but I think about that all the time. I'm like, that kid had plans for tomorrow, right? But tomorrow never came. And so I look at people and I talk to my friend Fletcher, actually. We're at this Bible study. And so I'd carpool him because we're in the same neighborhood. So we live kind of close. And so he's a freshman too. So he doesn't have a license. But I'd talk to him. I was like, Fletcher, what are you doing tomorrow? He's like, well, I got practice or like I got school and all that. So I go, no, you don't know. I could drive us home. I could be driving home on Daniels. My tire could like slip. I'd spin out. We'd roll out, and no one here would ever see us again. And that kind of like wow is
Yeah.
so, and it just puts you in such a
Hmm.
mindset of gratitude and honestly humility as well, knowing that if he was done with me, I would be gone. I mean, truly. And that's what gives me hope for atheists too, is like, if God didn't have a plan for some of these people, or if he didn't want them to come around, they would be dead. They would.
Mm.
Um, and I mean, like, it's it's hard to think about. It really is. But the gift of life is so great. And I think I really want to do this. I really want
Yeah.
to go and public speak somewhere and bring like a water gun and just like shoot the first two rows and
Yeah.
be like, that could have been it. No, yeah. But
Bro, get on like Red Rocks or Journey or Valor or like any. If we know what he's gonna do if he gets an
yeah, I just
opportunity to
outed
speak.
myself.
Yeah, just speak or I mean that's crazy. Yeah, you get the microphone. Like technically, you could do whatever
It's
you
just
want, say whatever you want, bro. It's that got that power. But I don't know. Yeah, if I'm gonna be honest, this episode's been really insightful for me. I'll be the first to say that. I guess is there anything else that you feel like you want to share, or even like leave us with, um, or yeah,
There's always more. There's always more in your walk with Christ. There's always more in your faith. And I think that's a question that a lot of people ask is and we talked about this, the balance between conviction and contentment. And so something I thought about today is
mm-hmm.
yeah, I always thought that like I always struggle with that thought of can there be conviction within contentment? Because contentment is like being so grateful and like okay, I have the things that I need, like I don't need more. And conviction is like wanting more of out of this or like wanting more. Um, but what I thought about today, like I was pretty much right before I was coming here. It
Yeah,
was like you've been thinking about conviction wrong, because conviction isn't wanting more, it's wanting to do more, you know. So it's like I can want to do more for other people without wanting more for myself. But I think it was so clear to me, right? Like that contentment part is like I'm so thankful for the things that I have, and the conviction part is now I want to go and give to other people. So like, that was made very clear to me is like there's always more for me to do. Like mission trips on everyday service, like everywhere can be your ministry for sure. And I think it was whatever the leader is for the senior boys at Red Rock said that is everywhere can be your ministry. And I love that. I really
yeah,
love that. It's just make a ministry out of wherever you are, no matter who you're with, no matter what. So
Yeah,
That's all I got.
I think that's great. I'm not going to add anything to it. That's Will Bianco for you. It's been a pleasure having you, and I'm really excited to see what God does just through you this next year. While we're together, last year, senior year, baby.
Hmm.
And to all those are listening, like, if there's something that Will said that you resonate with or whatever, like reach out to him, talk to him. I'll put the Instagram down below. Um, but I think what you ended us off with is amazing. Just like um, that everywhere we can be, like even for me, like I forget this. Like if I'm gonna be honest, I feel like we overcomplicate it. But every place, like wherever your feet are, can be your mission field. Um, and you don't need to do what so and so is doing. Because like you said, we're given a purpose, and the fact that we're alive and awake today means there's a purpose for it. I don't know what it is, but we're out here figuring it out. So I love you. Love you guys.
Yep. You too, man.
All right. Peace.